now. Going on to the business blunder of the day, you have General Motors to recall about 323,000 heavy-duty trucks due to tailgates just popping open. Now, this is perhaps even more detrimental when you consider what General Motors does. They are a large automobile company, but look at the breakdown of their profits. An overwhelming majority of their profits come from trucks. Very similar to Ford Motor Company. There's a reason Ford doesn't make subcompact little mini cars. You don't make a lot of money on those. They're priced very competitively with other manufacturers. Truth be told, they usually lose money on those. It's more of a lost leader for the industry. Now, trucks and SUVs, that's where they make so much profit. It's the gross on those vehicles is gross, pun moderately intended. I remember when I used to be in the automotive community, a Chevy Cruze, which used to be a great four-door little sedan. I love those little things. It came with a stick shift. Great vehicle. Now, those, when a dealership would sell it, that was, again, compact, four-door, economic vehicle. I think the price point was on $17,000. Great first car. Those vehicles, dealership might make negative $482 if they were to sell it as is. The only way they made money was with financing and accessories. And the sales reps would get like $100 gift cards from General Motors. Those things were terrible. Contrast that with a truck. So you got the Chevy Cruze, you're losing about $482. A truck, you'd make $10,000 in profit. Now, the individual sales rep wouldn't make that. That's to the dealership and it's split. But that's how much of a difference there is between the profit margins between a little car and a truck. So that's especially why this is a big issue for General Motors, because again, that's their main profit vessel for the company. Now, this comes to us thanks to the Detroit Free Press, which I'm actually shocked they still have press, or Detroit. Nevertheless, that was a city pun. Let's just say part of my family came from Detroit. Yeah, we don't visit. Now, they noted that GM is recalling more than 323 heavy-duty pickup trucks for tailgates opening unexpectedly. Now, this is because of the electronic tailgate release switches can short-circuit and open the gates while the vehicles are in park. Which, again, hilariously inept. It's a truck. Again, I know most trucks are garage queens these days. People don't haul with them. They don't use them on farms. They're six-figure luxury items. I understand that's the use case for a lot of owners. Now, that being said, it should be designed to be used in the fields and on construction sites in hazardous or not easy or not convenient climate settings. And yet, a sensor can just short circuit. Now, they note that the recall covers certain Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra 2500 and 3500 trucks manufactured between 2020 or model years 2020 through 2024. Which, again, those are the heavy-duty ones, even more profit, more price, higher price point. And again, those are the ones where you're supposed to be hauling stuff. You're supposed to be, using them. Now, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says the documents posted on the website that water can get into the switches and cause the tailgates to open while in park. The agency says that it can result in unsecured cargo falling out of beds, creating a road hazard and increasing the risk of a crash. So they used a switch that wasn't waterproof or just wasn't properly installed? But again, it's a truck. It's going to get wet. And yet, the tailgate can just fall down because water gets to this. Really? Now, GM advised owners to check that the tailgate is closed and latched before they drive the trucks. Dealerships will replace the exterior touchpad switch. Owners are to be notified by letter starting March 18th. Or just tune in the show and not all the business blunders, but there is an overwhelming amount of business blunders from the automotive community where we talk about recalls. Now, GM dealers also have been told to stop selling affected vehicles until the repairs are made. Ooh, how pissed are dealerships right now? You're not allowed to sell your most profitable product. That's awful. And that's also why you see so many family dealerships where they own multiple brands. They don't just sell General Motors products. A lot of them also sell Ford, Chrysler, also Stellantis, known as these days. Now, they also say that it has received 136 complaints about the tailgates opening unexpectedly. GM reported one complaint of a minor injury and 3 complaints of a minor property damage. So, again, there's a silver lining in life. Usually I tell people if you squint hard enough, you'll find a silver lining. Now, in this case, thankfully, this doesn't affect the drive chain, which is, the heart and the core of the vehicle, the engine, transmission, that's safe. And thankfully, even more important, no one has died and no one's been long-term affected negatively physically by this instance. So again, a little bit of silver lining. Things could be a lot worse. But this is your most profitable, important product. Again, GM is losing money left and right on EVs. Eventually, they very well may make a profit. Again, in the aggregate, if you long-term, you could, after you set up all the infrastructure necessary to manufacture the vehicle, eventually I suspect they will hit a profit point, maybe Q4 this year with their EV segment. But again, this is what is fueling the company. The most important product you sell. Again, I don't know what they do for quality control. I don't know how much they test it. Perhaps the best test of a General Motors vehicle would be just to drive it downtown Detroit, which, granted, you would probably need a lot of liability insurance for that because they're not bulletproof like the Tesla is in Detroit. Well, that'd be a big value add. And again, the dealerships aren't going to like this. And again, GM is an indirect sales model. They sell through the dealerships, partially because of legislation made in the States. So again, these dealerships now have an incentive to sell the competition because right now they can't sell that vehicle. So they're not happy. The consumers aren't happy because again, these trucks are no longer cheap. Ironically, trucks were invented as a cheap vehicle for farm equipment. It was cheaper than a car. Now, we have trucks that cost over $100,000 easy. They option it up to $150,000. It's astronomical. It's more than a house in some cases. And yet, you have an instance where you have to take one of the most expensive purchases you've ever made in your life back to the dealership to have this installed. And yes, it is free to the consumer. True. Technically. You don't have to pay. You're not taking out your credit card, or even more rare, taking out some silver dollar. Well, you shouldn't use silver dollars. It's actually worth something because it's real money. Or it's not fiat currency. But it's one of those things where you're having to go there. They'll repair it for free, but you're still driving there. Which again, gas ain't cheap thanks to a myriad of federal regulations. But it's also your time. Your time is worth something, folks. And you have to drive all the way to the dealership. Heaven forbid this is something where the dealership has to keep it overnight. Then you have to worry about getting a loaner, having a friend drive you. I mean, hopefully this is a 1 to 2 hour fix. So just swap out the parts. You go in, maybe get a cup of coffee, have your laptop, and do some work. That's usually, truth be told, that's what I usually do. But again, to have your most profitable, important vehicle recalled, and it's something so seemingly simple to actually prevent, just a little extra quality control, that certainly is the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of February, so if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or just a comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, and sharing also does help with the magical YouTube algorithm. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.